We who are on a spiritual path know that we are ultimately all one with the divine. You and I are two splinters of the unified body of spirit, whom I call the Divine Feminine in the WPP. The reason we exist as soul splinters in the first place is to experience ourselves as separate individual parts of the divine, so that the all that is can learn more about herself from different perspectives and thus expand in awareness. The Divine Feminine, or Source, is not all-knowing. She is only aware of the combination of information she gets from all the soul splinters in the universe. We are her explorers, and all she learns from us. This far, most in the spiritual movement agree. However, after that it becomes shady in most such communities. It seems like the great majority of truth seekers have the belief that we are, at this moment, as we progress, on a journey to merge with oneness again. In other words, we are now retracting our awareness and consciousness into becoming one again and give up the individuality we call soul. This is the entire philosophy behind the idea that we are on our way to ascend into a higher dimension, so we as soon as possible can merge with Source. If this were true, it would mean that the Divine Feminine now knows more or less everything there is to know about herself, and we have accomplished and experienced everything there is to experience and learn in this universe. This not only includes what we as a human soul group have learned and experienced, but what all souls in the universe have accomplished. This universe is now close to having completed its goals. Although it's true that we learn something from every choice we make in our existence, is it really equally true that we are also getting very close to having reached complete knowingness about ourselves? If we look at this objectively, is this really the case? I don't think we need to think too long and too hard to realize that the answer is no. As it stands now, we are only in the beginning of our journey towards full knowingness about ourselves and the universe around us. Also, here on Earth, we are restricted to being able to learn only a fraction of what there is to know. If we want to know more, which most of us do, we need to eventually shed our physical bodies in the matrix and get out in the car to start operating there. The road to enlightenment, complete knowledge, is long and winding. Some might say that although what I'm discussing here might be true, ascending to higher dimensions is the road to oneness, and that's where we're heading, and we're learning along the way. However, again in a restricted environment where each dimension has its own rules and goals. This is not how it works, but more importantly, this is not where we are supposed to have our attention, in my opinion. If we have attention on that, we need to all become one again, we lose our focus. We are still very much souls in this universe, whose purpose is to explore, experience and create, and that is where our focus should be. If our focus instead is what we will become in so and so many years, i.e. a soul ascending to another dimension so we can go home again, we are taking our focus away from the present moment and we're chasing a carrot that is distracting us from our path. If we look deeper into this concept, we can also see that there is a trace of apathy in our longing to merge with oneness again as our soul's purpose. We are worn and tired of the situation that is at hand, i.e. living on this planet with all the cruelty, fear and terror, so we want to escape. Thus, the ultimate escape is to leave the game altogether and not play anymore, and thinking that our next step is the step right into the paradise within a higher dimension. This is nothing more than mental escape again, originating in narcissism. See our previous videos. On the bright side, existence is not supposed to be as harsh as the one we're experiencing here within our limited bandwidth/frequency band in the matrix. Neither are we meant to ascend to a dimension that has one or two goals we need to accomplish, such as compassion and love in the fourth dimension, as suggested in the raw material, before we can carry on to the next dimension and so on. Instead, we are supposed to create as sovereign beings having endless potentials and creative abilities, free to create anything we want in order to experience anything we wish. All this is done within the playground we call the third dimension. The Ka itself, which is what we call dark matter and dark energy, is still operated in the third dimension environment, but in a free-flowing abundance of densities within this dimension. The so-called higher dimensions are used to temporarily gather information so we can operate better in 3D. We are the ones who decide what goals we are heading towards. We are not at the mercy of some rule sets in a higher dimension in which we will be contained for X thousands or millions of years before we can move on. Once we're out of this matrix, the next step is not to try to merge with the Divine Feminine again. It is simply to stay in the 3D universe and continue our journey in the Ka as creators and explorers. Our journey is not about to be over, it has just begun.